It's going to be an abbreviated meeting because we have the town caucus to attend to. I will begin with the consent agenda, the town accountant warrants, gift acceptance from Noon Year Eve silent auction, multiple donors, $5,580 to the Carousel Preschool Scholarship Fund, one-day special licenses, Francis Crowley for February 23rd, 6 to 10 p.m., 40 Westford Road, Wine and Malt, and Concord Children's Center, March 30th, 6 p.m. to 11 p.m., 54 Walden Street, Wine and Malt.
Tom, I think you meant to say $5,580.08.
Well, this warrant left out the 8 cents, so
Okay.
that's why I did that. But yes, I saw that.
Well, if that's correct, I move to approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we don't believe there were any executive session minutes to be approved.
That's correct, none at this time.
So we're ready for the town manager report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a few things to mention. The Public Works Department was successful in applying for a grant from Mass DOT and will receive $38,000 for its Complete Streets Prioritization Plan. So it will help us identify locations where sidewalks can be expanded to support pedestrian use of the streets, cyclists, and safety measures. So that was encouraging. The town meeting warrant is currently at the printer. It's expected back on Wednesday this week and should be in people's homes, mailed by the post office by Saturday. They should have it in their hands for the first public hearing, which is on Monday the 11th. If there's an affordable housing roundtable scheduled among Housing Authority, the Concord Housing Development Corporation, and the Housing Foundation, and others are invited to participate on Thursday, February 7th. I hope I'm not stealing what you were going to mention, Linda. That's at 7 o'clock. I don't have a location for that, but to discuss the warrant articles concerning town meeting, the 4 articles, town meeting warrant articles concerning affordable housing. Linda, do you know where is that going to be here in the townhouse?
Is that the joint housing meeting?
Yes.
No, it'll be at Peter Buckley Terrace.
Peter Buckley Terrace, thank you. And then lastly, the police chief wanted to report that text 911 is now available throughout Massachusetts, so anyone wants to contact their emergency services, just text 911 on their phone, and it will, the system will automatically connect with the most local police or fire department that people need. Thank you.
I'm going to defer on providing the chair's report, so I think we can now move to review and approve the White Pond Conservation Restriction. Delia, welcome.
Thank you.
You could just grab that mic next to you.
Delia Kay, Natural Resources Director, here on behalf of the Natural Resources Commission. Good evening. This is in regards to the White Pond Conservation Restriction, and the board will recall that at last fall's special town meeting, the town accepted the generous gift of more than 18 acres of land to the town from the White Pond Associates. The board wishes to place a conservation restriction on nearly 11 acres of land to ensure that they are maintained as conservation land in perpetuity. And this CR will be held by the Concord Land Conservation Trust. And with me this evening is Joan Ferguson, Chair of the Land Trust, Tom Falwell, who's an attorney representing White Pond Associates, and also Carl Hewson, who's a member of the White Pond Associates Board. I hope you have the packets that have the conservation restriction as well as the map, so you have some familiarity of where those are. I should mention that the 2 parcels will be deeded to the Natural Resources Commission for conservation purposes in the near future. So the larger CR parcel is just over 9 acres and consists primarily of the farm field on the corner of Powder Mill and Plainfield Roads. And the second parcel is nearly 2 acres. That is on a portion of the fields that is across from Raymond Road. The land was originally part of the Wheeler Farm and has been farmed for more than 200 years. It is anticipated that the land will continue to be farmed with an eye to ensure that agricultural activities don't compromise the water quality of White Pond. A very small portion of the paved county access road falls within the larger CR parcel, Lot C1, and the CR includes language to allow this as a reserved right, as well as future maintenance and any replacement activities, but not expansion of that paved area. Language is also being incorporated into the CR, allowing for future drainage improvements to be constructed along the access road to improve the water quality of White Pond. Significant public benefits for preserving this land include protecting agriculturally productive soils, public access for passive recreational purposes, open space preservation, and groundwater recharge. And the Natural Resources Commission recommends that the board approve the conservation restriction as drafted. Thanks.
Do you have any questions or comments?
No, but I wonder if we want to hear from either the Land Trust or the White Pond Association.
They would like to speak. I'm happy to have
Don't
them.
need to, just
I think Delia summed it up fairly concisely.
terrific.
This is exciting. Excellent.
We're ready for a motion?
Oh, I'm excited to read this motion. The very huge gift for the town. Move to approve the conservation restriction over 10.98 acres of land at 2B Powder Mill Road and 90Y Plainfield Road. Portions of assessors parcels number 3269 and 3271 from the White Pond Associates Inc., granted on January 9th, 2019, and accepted by the Concord Land Conservation Trust on January 7th, 2019. Pursuant to the Massachusetts General Laws, Section 31, 33 of Chapter 184.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For everybody.
Everybody, yes.
That's terrific.
We are now ready to amend the town manager search committee charge. This came about because it's likely that Alice, who's a member of the town manager search committee, will be retiring from the board prior to the selection, and we want her to continue. I don't know if there's any need for any discussion on this. And so therefore, we'd be ready to entertain a motion.
Maybe I should read that.
Maybe you should read this. I should
In reference to, sure. I move to amend the town manager search committee's charge to be updated to include the following. In the event that a select board member's term expires before the town manager search committee completes its work, that member will become ex officio to the town manager search committee with full voting rights.
Do we have a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Can I vote?
Aye.
You can. Aye. We are now ready for a town manager search committee update.
Thank you. The search committee met on the 24th of January with the consulting firm. All three of the members of the consulting team were with us. And the purpose of that meeting was to approve two documents: the profile of the town that will serve as a primary document in terms of informing people about Concord, and the actual job placement ad that would be put in various publications. And we reviewed those carefully, and there were a few corrections that the committee suggested. The committee voted to designate Dina Whitfield, the clerk of the committee, and me as chair to review that these changes were incorporated into the document. They sent us a document, and we have done that. So the document will go on the MRI website, and as soon as I have the time to do it, just finished before I came here, we'll get it to the town. It'll go up in the town manager's search committee website here. So now what happens is the ads will be placed and the job will become sort of live beginning in a couple of days. It'll last for about a month until March 4th or so. The period from March 4th for about a month will be the process of the consulting firm reviewing all the applications, whittling it down to about 15, don't know, there's no number, And the committee is approving at its next meeting, which is on the 19th, the essay questions that will be sent to those 15 or so folks. And so that is on the 19th, and then the next time the committee will meet will be on the 4th of April. And at that time, we will be meeting and we will be reviewing the finalists, not finalists, the semi-finalists, if you will, the 15 or so with all their resumes and associated material and essay questions. At that meeting, we will condense that list to 6. And then we have set aside either April 25th or 26th, I believe that's the Thursday and Friday. We haven't decided on which of those 2 dates. As the date the search committee will interview these 6 finalists, semi-finalists. And the hope is tonight that I could ask this committee then if it would be willing to designate the 27th, which is Saturday, as the day that we would conduct the interviews in public session of the 3 or so. Again, I don't know how many the search committee is going to recommend, but the finalist candidates to the select board. The thinking there is we would be able to complete the search committee's work on the 25th or 26th. Those candidates who we wanted to remain could remain in town for another day or so in case some of them were coming in from somewhere else. Then the committee could meet, we'd meet here in the townhouse and it would be open to the public. And the public would have a chance to meet them and I hope would ask questions and so would we. And then we would make our recommendation. So we would get that done hopefully by April 27th and then we would use the next couple of weeks to actually work on the contract. So that's the update. Our next meeting is the 19th to review questions. The 4th to recommend from the pool the 6 semi-finalists, and then on the 25th or 26th to interview those and pass it off to the select board. All of those meetings will be for the search committee in executive session. When the recommendation is made to the select board, those interviews of the 3 or so finalists will be done in open session. Did I miss anything?
I think that's complete.
On schedule, on budget.
So far,
Any questions?
How far geographically are the publications reaching that this is going to be advertised in?
wide.
I'm just,
For the way, there have been some local ones. We agreed to have it go in the Boston Globe.
Mass Municipal
Mass Municipal
Association.
Association. There's another.
ICMA.
International City
Yeah.
Managers. That's
so
also-
what's
that's
well,
national.
They
national?
go quite wide.
Okay.
And as many of you know, because you attended the Mass Municipal Association annual meeting on the 18th and 19th, they were at that meeting and were already beginning to make sure people were aware of this opportunity coming along.
I think even though there hasn't been advertising, the word is out, so.
Yeah, certainly phone calls have been made outreach to the search firm. So I think we're coming along. But my hope is that the select board this evening would agree to set aside the 27th. The exact time on the 27th, we don't need to decide right now, but get that so that we can say that's going to be the day that we're going to.
Any of the members find that there's a conflict or that's
Just
something
check your vacation
undoable?
schedules. Post-town meeting vacation.
Oh, wait a minute. It's true.
So we don't have to decide tonight, right? We can park it as a potential date, let Mike know if
And
there are
then
conflicts.
lock it
with
in if
And
we
lock,
can.
if that date doesn't work, we'll find another one shortly after.
We want to try to do it as
Pretty
proximate
soon
to
after.
that as we can to avoid additional costs and delay.
Well, there's also, there are opportunities across New England and further for qualified city and town managers. You'd hate to lose a great candidate. So,
Very good. Any other comments by anybody? We're now ready for public comments. Do we have anybody in the public who would like to address the board? Not seeing any, we'll move to committee liaison reports.
I'll just comment on, I met with the Rec Commission, and they all had an opportunity for an updated tour of the BD Center to see reconfiguration of space and learn about some additional programmatic changes there as well. And it was a good session for everyone, and I think encouraging in terms of they're seeing some positive results from some of the outreach and orientation with prospective members and so forth. And they also have some upcoming events planned. They want to continue to put emphasis on the birthday parties that are available using the swimming pool, as well as I think they have something planned for a parents' night out, where parents could drop off their children between the 3rd grade and I believe it's the 8th grade. They'll be publicizing that date, and again, it would be a swim-oriented and fitness activity-oriented session.
Being creative.
Yes, exactly.
Anything in particular?
No liaison reports, maybe you will on our behalf, mention the voters for liaisoning. So,
Well, more, I will mention that we had our long-range plan board meeting, which was open but not highly attended. But I think we got a lot of progress in terms of moving ahead on that. I also had attended on the 22nd school committee. It went on for about 3.5 hours. I'm not going to sort of go through everything that was mentioned, but I will say there was a good deal of the superintendent had a report about the school wellness, middle school work, and committee, the cultural efficiency that they're working on. The one that I found gratifying was that she mentioned the resource officer, the funding was approved at the special town meeting, and how well that's working. That apparently they had a great relationship with the students. She said it was beyond expectations. It's just the school's a calmer place, and that that has been a big plus, and she's very grateful for that. They did discuss the issue of parking, school safety, the communication system. They deferred the approval of the agreement regarding the MMN studio. There was a couple of items that they needed to work out with the town, and there are going to be walkthroughs of the middle school facilities so that the public will have an opportunity to kind of see firsthand the immediate need for action on that. The Finance Committee met on the 24th. They reviewed a number of the warrant articles and the fiscal year 20 budget request from the town. Then they also spent a good deal of time with debt service impact of existing and proposed projects. I think it's an important document for people to review. It was an important work because it's going to kind of affect, I think, some of the options that we have in terms of spending in the long term. We all, I think, attended the League of Women Voters breakfast, which was focused on immigration. But unfortunately, I had to leave a little early, so I didn't get all the questions and answers, but it was certainly well attended. So.
In fact, I'm hoping that it might have been, was it recorded so that those of us who didn't have to
It was
leave,
recorded, so it'll be up pretty soon.
mid-speaker, and that was a very interesting breakfast. We had a PEG Access Committee meeting on the, I believe it was the 16th, and there was some discussion about sort of the budgetary planning and process. I think that, we're going through the stages of a new committee, sort of figuring out what the new role of a new entity is. And so our deputy town manager and our town manager came in to sort of describe the process. And I think that certainly my sense that the committee had a better gauge on on where it is this year, sort of in this beginning, halfway through, and then, you know, what we might envision as a input time for the committee with any of their thoughts about programming and other PEG-related thoughts for Minuteman itself. Then we also had what I think, and Delia's no longer here, so she can't laugh at me, had to have been the fastest NRC meeting ever. We were out of there, it was by 7:26. So if anybody has been to, that's very unusual. I'll just leave it at that. I don't think I should give much of an update on that, other than I got home early. So that, and of course we had our long-range planning discussion, which I thought was a really good start to a process, and I think that the vast public that witnessed it will be excited about it, and more to be discussed.
You were all very lucky. I didn't bring my notes, but I attended Minuteman Voc Tech meeting and have to report that we are still on budget and on time. The building is completely closed in. Interior walls are going up. It's taking shape. You can see where classrooms are. So we are invited back on the tour, and maybe in the spring when a few more walls are up to see the changes since we last toured in November. Also attended the planning board, a lot of that discussion we went over during our comprehensive long-range plan, with particularly Appendix D. And if all of you are looking for great reading, you might want to go online and look at Vision Concord 2020 and look at Appendix D. It's a really interesting document about what are the potentials for growth and what kind of growth where. That's it.
Good, thank you. Well, I guess now we're just ready for the item committee reappointments.
I guess we are ready to appoint Karen Curry of 247 Losbrook Road, number 305, to the West Concord Advisory Committee for a term to expire to May 31st, 2021.
Second.
I second, and I just want to note that I am really thrilled that she wants to be reappointed because her business in West Concord has just closed. And so I'm just thrilled that she's not leaving us, and that maybe there'll be another chapter to that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn to the town office.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much, everybody.